Hey everyone, it's Anthony Ramos here. I'm so excited for STARZ new series. It's called Hightown. It starts May 17th and it just happens to be set in Provincetown, aka P-Town. And I am here joined by the star, Monica Raymund. Monica, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Okay, I got to start with the serious stuff. How familiar were you with P-Town? Because, as we all know, it is the LGBTQ mecca at this point.
I know, and it's my community, and I had never been to P-Town.
Okay, I haven't either. Secret, but
It was so fun. It was super cool to be there and to meet people from there, to learn a little bit more about the history of the town, which I didn't realize that all these famous writers and artists had gone. Like Tennessee Williams hung out there. I think it's a really special place.
now you mentioned your community. I want to talk about this because this show is, I've gotten to see a couple episodes. It is really something. We have a queer Latinx lead who is interesting. She's complex. She's got a lot going on. For you, as an actress, you've been doing this a while, obviously Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, other projects. What does it mean to you to get to play, this? Because I think you're half Dominican, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so I mean, just for you, I mean, it's so great to see that there are these inclusive roles that are interesting and exciting. So what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I mean, it means the world for me. When I, 15 years ago or whatever, 10 years ago, I didn't know I was going to be on TV. And I didn't think that that was a possibility. I was a theater geek and I was like, oh, well, there's nobody who really looks like me or is like me on TV. So that's not something I can do. And here I am.
Here you are. Let's, the show, I feel like it's a little bit like the best Dateline episode you've ever seen. There's which for me, I love Dateline, and it continues on. Give us a little bit. I mean, your character is at the center of this. Without giving away too much, we know that she, is having some personal struggles. But then this day comes and she finds a dead body, and then everything starts to change. Give us a little bit of, a preview out there about what's ahead, because I really think it's really, really good.
Oh, thank you. So here's what happened is like I like to talk about the show as if it's a train already left the station. We're going like 50 miles an hour. You're either on or you're off. So right away, we see Jackie sort of in the middle of the party, in the middle of her addiction. She's like all sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And she uses her gun and her badge to get laid. And then all of a sudden, she does come across this body. And while in the midst of like finding herself trying to help solve this murder, she's also incredibly alcoholic. And so she's dealing with her own addiction and starts walking the line of recovery, which is a messy line, right? So we're seeing both of these things happen for her, and we're with her the whole way as she meets all these other characters in the world, and we see how dark it really gets.
That you brought up something which I think is important because with the LGBTQ community, addiction is something that we are faced with. In some cases more than other people. What do you think that this your character's storyline? What do you want people to see about addiction? And what do you think that they're going to take away from it? Because it is obviously a big part of her story.
Yeah, it is a big part of our story. I want people to take away from it that this is a very non-biased disease. It is a disease, and it's messy, and there's no right way to recover from an addiction, period. So it's unique, and it's something that so many millions of people struggle with, specifically in our community, because it's a symptom of a bigger problem, right? So it means that for Jackie, there's this great pain inside of her. There's a big hole and void that just can't be filled. And so she leans on alcohol and drugs and partying and sex to avoid having to deal with those issues, right? As she kind of clears those things and tries to take alcohol and drugs off the table, tries to live some kind of little glimmer of honesty, she's left with the actual like destruction in herself that she has to deal with if she wants to gain any kind of happiness.
You've opened up obviously about being bisexual. For this character to not only be the lead role, but also just to be I don't know, she's just got this way about her that's so strong and empowering. And I think people beyond just the queer community are going to relate to her because she is someone who, you know, is very strong, but, you know, she's got these, you know, vulnerable pieces to her, you know, like how, for you as an actress, like how cool is it to play, you know, kind of someone who has so many layers? And I feel like the layers are just going to kind of come off as the episodes, you know, air.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I identify as queer. I do not identify as bisexual anymore. So that's important for me, and to be able to play a character who is in that community. She identifies as lesbian in this world. But you're right, like she has all of these layers on top. To be honest with you, that's kind of one of the things that connected me to the character. It's something that we have in common. You know, I'm 33, right? I'm 33. So I'm like sort of in the young adult phase. And when we hit this time in our lives, we start realizing, oh, wow, there are a lot of things I have to deal with, a lot of issues, a lot of like looking straight in the mirror and having to be honest with yourself if you want to grow. And I think that's the beginning of Jackie's journey. Like she's sort of having to grow up in front of you as you're watching her grow up or get out. You know, it's either like in a lot of cases for people who suffer from addiction, who have these kinds of layers you have to go through, for a lot of those people, it's life or death.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm thinking back on your character, Gabriella, you know, obviously from, you know, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med. You know, I think there's very different, obviously, like completely different. But, you know, like for you, like how did kind of playing someone like Gabriella on the other side of things kind of like prepare you for this? Because, you know, both characters are, you know, essentially doing good work. They're the good guys, they're in law enforcement, but obviously like extremely different, you know, ways, you know, like how did that kind of journey like prepare you for this role?
That's a great question. I think playing Gabby Dawson, like I'm playing a first responder on Chicago. On Hightown, I'm playing a fisheries agent, a fish cop.
I didn't even know that existed, by the way, but in P-Town it makes sense.
And I still didn't realize there was like a National Marine Fisheries Agency, right? So that was cool, getting to learn a lot about that. But also, like Gabby is somebody who, in Chicago Fire, she's somebody who she'll only break the rules if it's the right thing to do. But she's a very strong woman, very bullheaded, but her life is dedicated to saving the lives of others, right? Jackie on Hightown is stubborn and bullheaded, but she's just determined to self-destruct, right? She doesn't know how to deal with her problems and is very afraid and confused about saving her own life, saving her happiness. So in those ways, they're drastically different.
How did you, you know, what kind of preparation or research did you do? Because like, you know, we were just talking about, like, I didn't even know that there was such a thing as, you know, what Jackie does. And, you know, beyond that, obviously her addiction and, you know, there's other things that we're going to see that lend into that, you know, her backstory. You know, what did you do to get your head around that?
Yeah. So like you said, I had to do some research about what it meant to like be a National Marine Fisheries officer. And I got to go on some ride-alongs. So what that means is I got on a boat with a couple guys who do this job. And had to learn how to drive the boat. I had to learn how to dock it. I had to learn how to do a couple of stunts or when they're approaching another boat. And sort of the job is to enforce these regulations that are on the coast. And Cape Cod is a town of, you know, fish, seafood, fisheries. I mean, that's a big part of the culture there. Not the town, sorry, the area. So I got to learn a lot about that. And also just like what it was like for a woman to be able to carry a gun and a badge, but Jackie's using it to get laid. It's to like enforce the law, which is pretty funny, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's very true. And yeah, don't do that at home if anyone, but for you, you know, obviously, you know, as a queer actress, which, you know, I'm glad it's so important that we have people like yourself. You know, what is it like for you? Because I would imagine, you know, fandom that you've had from, you know, your shows, like when you hear from a fan that, you know, connects to you, or maybe, you know, you inspired them or kind of, you know, had a moment, you know, where they were able to, you know, maybe accept themselves or speak out, you know, on something. What is that like for you to kind of get that kind of you know, reception, whether it's on social media or, you know, anything like that?
I mean, having the support of fans, and seeing that, you know, you can influence their bravery and their courage, it's incredibly gratifying and very humbling. And I remember when I was a fan of other people, you know, I was just watching yesterday, I think maybe you guys were too, like the 90s on one of those shows, like all,
Yeah.
and like seeing Ellen DeGeneres, you know, coming out and sort of taught, and then like having to learn when I was in my early 20s about, and late teens, about Matthew Shepard, and sort of understanding and learning the history of LGBTQ and the pain. So understanding the pain and adversity that so many of us have had to deal with, when I hear fans say that they feel empowered to come out, that it gives them some bravery, I mean, it feels like, I mean, that's kind of the point of this whole thing, right? Is like, we're here to support each other. And it's important that people feel that, like, I'm here to support my brothers and sisters. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
No, it's beautiful. And like, and that's, you know, we so appreciate that. You know, speaking of support, how are you doing in quarantine? Because, you know, it's almost like a double-edged sword. It's amazing that we have a show like this to watch when we're all home, because, you know, it's starting May 17th. But also, it's, I would imagine for you, it's a little different having a show start. You know, there isn't going to be this traditional premiere. You don't get to be with your castmates. So how's it going for you? Kind of just hanging out in this current, I'm not saying new normal, we're going to call it the current situation that will be over hopefully soon.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I mean, how is it for you? It's like, it's bizarre. It's like every day I wake up and it's like, wow, I feel like we're living in a movie. Oh, I was just talking about it yesterday with my partner. We were going grocery store shopping or whatever. And the PA system, they say, have you seen this? They say, like, ladies and gentlemen, please stay 6 feet away for your health and the health and safety of others. And we stop and we look at each other and like, oh my God, we're in a movie. This is like some weird Margaret Atwood film. So it's up and down. It's surreal. My father got sick.
Oh no.
He was in Brazil actually when he got sick, and he's fine. He recovered okay, thankfully. But you know, that's where I really learned about it, and sort of the intensity and severity of this virus, and realizing like so many of the doctors, they're just learning day by day too, the scientific community. So it's scary and also surreal.
It is. And you know, I want to wrap up with you, but I think what we should do after this is when we're all back to normal, we have to take you to P-Town and give you the proper experience, right? I mean, I need to do it too. I haven't been either, but I think GLAAD will take you and we'll do something fun there, because that could be a lot of fun.
I would say, let's go. Let's do it.
I love it. All right. Well, it's been such a pleasure. And everyone, reminder out there that Hightown starts May 17th at 8:00 on STARZ. It's gritty. It's sexy. It's awesome. You're going to love it. All right, Monica, thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, Anthony.